Hi, neighbors. Welcome to the Senior Scene. One of the more successful programs here in the city of Torrance is the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, more commonly known as RSVP. For today's segment of the scene, we will join RSVP as they honor their members with a recognition luncheon. The Torrance Marriott Hotel's spacious ballroom was the site of the 32nd annual RSVP Volunteer Recognition Luncheon.
Has been a part of the South Bay community since 1974. Our mission is to provide an opportunity for seniors 55 years of age and over to volunteer at public and nonprofit organizations throughout the South Bay. We currently serve 114 organizations that range from public libraries, Meals on Wheels, hospice care, the Sheriff's Department, the police departments, and environmental organizations. Currently we have 875 active volunteers at RSVP. Our goal is to recruit more baby boomers, young adults, young seniors who are getting out of the workforce at this point, who have the time to commit to helping build our volunteer force. Our average volunteer at this point is 72 years of age, and most have been in service for 20 to 30 years. Our SVP is a public nonprofit organization. We're one of 3 nonprofit RSVP organizations in the state of California. That means we get a part of our money from the federal government, from the Department of Community and National Services, and another part of our money from the community that we serve, foundations, corporations, and individuals of goodwill who support us. Sponsored by local corporations and foundations that included the Rhodium, the South Bay BMW Auto Dealership, Van Lingen Towing, Surf Management, and Torrance Memorial Medical Center, over 400 invited guests were greeted by the musical strains of Gall and Asher as they entered the hotel's spacious ballroom. After a period of socializing, the guests took their seats in assigned areas and eagerly awaited the afternoon's program. This couple added to the festive mood as they could not resist the temptation of tripping the light fantastic to the music of John Gall at the keyboard and Brian Asher on bass. RSVP Director White opened the program with a warm welcome and special greetings to the volunteers in the audience. RSVP Board of Directors President Robert Van Lingen then took to the podium where he led the guests in the Pledge of Allegiance. He was followed by Pastor Evan Chase, who delivered a stirring inspirational.
Furnished with big recliners. Yeah, I got an amen over there.
Mark Applegate, RSVP board member, then introduced some of the elected officials in the audience that included Torrance Mayor Dan Walker, Torrance City Clerk Sue Herbers, former Torrance Mayor Dee Hardison, Reza Arquette, for Congresswoman Jane Harmon, Lori Kennedy from the Corporation of National and Community Services, Matthew Dotson representing State Senator Deborah Bowen, George Nakano, former Assemblyman
and Hope Witkowski, Torrance City Councilwoman and former RSVP Executive Director. A delightful luncheon was then served, enhanced by the music provided by the duo of Gall and Asher. During the latter part of the luncheon, Director White addressed the audience, emphasizing the importance of volunteers to the betterment of the communities they serve. At the conclusion of his brief message, he called off the names of 13 volunteer honorees and mentioned their years of RSV service and the hours they amassed. The names included James Young, 23 years of service, 22,142 hours. Norma Orr, 19 years, 17,007 hours. John King, 10 years, 15,258 hours. Masaka Oshita, 17 years, 14,586 hours. Marguerite Dean, 22 years of service, 14,204 hours. Helen Kerr, 13 years, 12,266 hours. Jules Lowenberger, 14 years of service, 12,026 hours. Sidney Glass, 24 years, 11,644 hours. Connie Schroer, 6 years, amassing 10,735 hours. Bernard Slotnick, 12 years with 10,735 hours. Phyllis King, 23 years of service, 10,544 hours. Lillian Goff, 12 years, 10,353 hours. And Pat Rippey, 22 years, 10,188 hours. After the naming of the volunteer honorees, they were called to the stage for the awards presentation. Unfortunately, only 7 of the 13 were able to attend. Torrance Mayor Dan Walker initiated the awards presentation and was followed by representatives from the other elected officials. During the presentation, volunteer James Young was cited for his amazing record of 22,142 hours of service over a period of 23 years.
As such, I got a chance to go to a lot of hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, disasters of all sorts, and all around the country. And it was living out of a suitcase a lot of the time, but we finally got it all in, and I retired from that finally. My wife and I, who were, we decided we needed something to fill our time up with. So she and I went to Torrance Memorial, and we were busy there a couple of days a week. We would volunteer. Her and she was in ICU, and I was in floor volunteer.
After the awards presentation was completed, Mayor Walker had this to say.
We commend you for doing such a wonderful job day in and day out, year in and year out. The thousands of hours that you volunteers put in for a great community is truly respected. So on behalf of myself, Dan Walker, Mayor of Torrance, I thank you very much, and we all thank you very much.
Former Assemblyman George Nakano followed with these wise words.
And one of the things that we're blessed with in our nation here is that we have so many volunteer organizations. And one of the things that the volunteers do is to improve the quality of life in our community. Because just think, if we didn't have the volunteers here, you won't have a lot of the programs and things that takes place as it does today.
State Senator Bowen's representative, Matthew Dotson, then directed this message to the guests.
I think one of the great things you do is show some of the younger generation what they can do. And I hope that in the coming years, some of the younger folks out in the community will get more involved. And anyway, thank you very much, and I hope you continue doing what you're doing.
After greeting the volunteers, Reza Arquette, Congresswoman Jane Harman's rep, conveyed this communication for the Congresswoman.
And today I'm here to honor all of your great volunteers on the number of hours they've completed. And this is the certificate that they've received from the Congresswoman, and it commends them on their activities as community service volunteers in the South Bay area. So once again, thank you on behalf of Congresswoman Jane Harman and the United States government. God bless you, and have a wonderful day.
It was now time for Dee Hardison, the first guest speaker, to take to the rostrum as she spelled out volunteerism.
I have in the past been at your RSVP as Volunteer Recognition Luncheon as a RSVP volunteer. After I retired from teaching in 1996, I tutored at Torrance Elementary School for 4 years.
Ed Kashi, noted photojournalist, was the second speaker of the afternoon.
One thing we were really impressed with and that our eyes were opened up to was the spirit of volunteerism in America. And I know you guys have already, this is a love fest for you guys, so I just want to add one more kiss and hug to you, that thank you so much for what you do.
He presented a dissertation on his PBS film, Aging in America.
All of society is going to feel the impact. That's why photographer Ed Cashy and I set out to discover what is a good old age, and is society ready?
The afternoon's program ended with a raffle of donated prizes from the Friends of RSVP. From the Torrance Marriott Hotel, I'm Art Callen, your host for the Senior Scene, saying so long till next time.